Good evening, everyone. Welcome. We've got an actual real guest. The first time ever I've got an actual real guest that I've never met before. so I'd like you all to welcome Jan Pirret from Ngage Radio. We haven't really done this right, Jan, because what we should have done was put a link to Ngage Radio in the chat, shouldn't we, really?
Probably. Yeah.
Is it easy to find?
It is.
Yeah. But
it is. Yeah.
I've got the top man, Mr. Steve Anke, who's the top moderator and PR guy, so he's going to find it. Ngage Radio, if you can find that.
There's no E on the front.
So it's Ngage Radio.
Yeah.
So hopefully you can hear Jan all right. Can you confirm you can hear Jan all right? Because I can hear her absolutely fine in here. She sounds lovely to me. Now, I was trawling around TikTok the other night in the AM. I suppose it was Saturday morning, I think, or something like that. And all of a sudden, I heard this amazing voice, and I thought, well, everybody always says I've got the perfect voice to put them to sleep. And I thought, do you know what? I think that's absolutely perfect. So I'm gonna see if I can get her on and have a chat. And I said, do you fancy coming on? She went, oh yeah, all right then. so that was quite easy.
I'd had a drink.
So
I suddenly kind of recalled it the next morning.
Yeah, I sent you a message. I thought, to be really honest, I'd had a couple of beers, so that's probably why I was a bit more brave. When we used to do the vape thing, I was always quite famous for inviting really famous people on when I was drunk. Okay. Some of them don't get back to you, and some of them go, yeah, all right. Then you think, oh no, what am I going to ask them?
Yeah, what am I going to ask? Yeah. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for sharing, Hanky Panky.
Yeah,
that's exactly it. Ngage Radio.
That's the one.
Yeah.
So how have you got a lifetime of doing that then? Did you just always want to do a radio show?
No. I didn't even know I wanted to do it. It's really like, half the population of 40 and 50-year-olds that are on TikTok these days. We joined during lockdown, didn't we?
Yeah.
I started to do live stream on TikTok when I was away on a cruise through Alaska a couple of years ago, and I started to share my lives then, and I thoroughly enjoyed the whole kind of like live aspect. And when I returned, I continued to do lives, but I just played music and kind of talked nonsense. And I used to do this regular show in inverted commas called The Dating Chronicles, and it was basically about my catastrophe in the dating world, and just used to make everybody laugh with the ridiculousness of the stories that used to come out, and I would play music in the background. Prior to that, maybe about 12 months prior to that, I started to follow a couple of guys that did do radio on TikTok. And two in particular had basically started their own station, now known as Ngage Radio.
Oh, right.
And so I followed them because I really liked their kind of ethos, really, that their interactivity with their listeners. And they were both worked full time. It was their hobby. It's a hobby station, so essentially it's not for profit and all of that kind of rubbish. Anyway, really long story short, I became a moderator on TikTok for them. Thoroughly enjoyed being part of the kind of merry band of people. A couple of their DJs, we have about 20. There's about 20 to 22 presenters stroke DJs.
Wow.
And a couple of their DJs would say, Jan, really like what you do on TikTok. Could you do me a voice drop for my show? And I would go, well, what do you want me to say? And they go, oh, just make anything up, So, because I'm Cornish in origin, I now live in Devon, but I've got a kind of a Southwest accent. Yeah. I do something like, hello, my handsomes, kind of thing. And I'd be listening to the radio and listen to my own voice. And it's kind of, oh, okay. Yeah. That's what I sound like, that's anyway.
Weird.
And then the two guys that were the radio station managers and kind of owner of the station just literally said, do you fancy doing what you do on TikTok with your dating chronicles on our radio station? And I was like, what are you talking about? I don't know where to start, And and it literally happened so quickly because I spoke to Danny, the radio station manager, on Friday night after work, and I said, well, it sounds like fun, but like, he said, Jan, your music, you love your music, you really
Mm.
like, you've got some great stories. We want to like, you've got a real charisma about you. We want you on our station. And I was like, and they didn't have any female presenters, so it kind of like ticked
Ah,
them as
straight
well
in.
at the
Yeah.
time. Yeah. So anyway, so I was like, well, I need to know more about it anyway. So he said, well, look, I'll call you over the weekend. So he did, and he phoned me on the Sunday, and he said, look, just to get started, don't spend too much money on kit because it can get quite expensive, as you and I really spoken about. But anyway, gave me a couple of recommendations of stuff that I perhaps need to do to get started. And I literally went live that first Thursday night with my standard show called the Love Lounge, basically, which is on a
Yeah.
Thursday evening at 8 o'clock, and it's 3 hours of love songs, basically,
Mm-hmm.
and lots of nonsense chat. So, and that's kind of the rest is history. And I think last Thursday's was my 78th episode. So that's 80.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been on the station for 18 months now. But about February of this year, which was my 12-month anniversary of being on the station, I was promoted. I've always done kind of work in the background for them, social media and kind of admin and organizing the boys, because they all need a lot of looking after.
Yep.
And I became the assistant station manager in February of this year. So
Wow.
it's been mad. It's been mad.
Yeah.
It's a huge learning curve, and I love it, and it's a really brilliant hobby. It can literally take every last minute of your day if you allow it to. Yeah.
And every penny as well.
Well, it's as hobbies go, actually. I mean, once you've bought the kit and bought the kit that you absolutely need, it is an investment, because it does actually,
It's been a bit of a thing for me, to be really honest, because I've had that. I think I've got 3 audio mixers in here now. I've gone from the 60 quid one to the 80 quid one to the 100 quid one. And then, the microphones, you started off with really terrible ones and then got one that was a little bit better. And then we have obviously a webcam. So you got you started off with a terrible one and then got a bit better. And it just goes on and on and on and on. I've spent hundreds and hundreds of quid. And that you start off with I originally used to do it from a laptop. And then I went from that because I had an Apple laptop when I first started. And it didn't like OBS. So I got a Windows laptop, which then blew up. So I got another Windows laptop.
Oh my goodness.
And then after many years, I thought, it's time I got another laptop. And somebody says, well, they're the same price as a desktop. I don't know why. I actually thought desktops were 10 times more expensive than what a laptop is. So I got somebody to actually make me a laptop up, and here I am. And the only real problem I had with that, I think I changed the graphics card. That was all I've done, because it was a pretty low one that they put in originally. But I said, I've got this microphone. I was quite lucky with this one. I was looking for one, and then I found one at half price, which I thought, because the NT1, not the NT1, the SM7B, if you look, you can buy them off AliExpress for 100 quid because they're fake.
Okay.
And if you Google fake SM7B and then listen to the noise that comes out, they squeal and pop and bang and then break down in no time. If you buy one at absolutely full price, it could be up to 500.
Wow.
But I managed to get this one for £200. And I said to this guy, that obviously is a fake then. He said, no, it's not a fake. He said, we bought a job lot. I don't know where he got a job lot from. I don't know why he got a job lot. And it was a proper shop and everything. He says, I can guarantee it's not a fake. So I bought it and I spent the next 4 weeks trying to prove it was a fake before the credit card thing expired.
Okay, got you.
Even to the point of putting the serial number into the website and they're saying, what service do you need? So it's definitely not a fake.
Okay.
It's no way it's a fake.
Get it. Yeah.
But I didn't realise what I should have done, really, because it is a lovely microphone and I like the way it points forward. With the Rode one I've got, it's got the gold dot on the side, so you have to have it stood up like that and talk into it that way.
Yeah.
But really, when you're listening to this microphone and that microphone through this Procaster, there's no difference whatsoever.
No.
So it was a waste of time.
The Shure kit was definitely something that I considered, but I went with the Rodecaster. Sorry, the Procaster,
Yeah.
which is the name of the mic
Yeah.
for the Rode, because other colleagues of mine at the station had it, and I admired the sound of their voices
Yeah.
and the kind of, you know, so it I went with, and of course, because I was a complete novice about all of the techie stuff,
Yeah.
I just like, tell me what to buy and I will just get it. But I did start out with really cheap NAF USB stuff that was awful. But you know, some of the lads have got an incredible setup, but mine is relatively basic, but it works well for me. I'm not a mixed DJ, so I don't need a set of decks.
To be honest, it's not really, is it? You've gone, basically what you've done, you've spent quite a lot of money and got the best you can get.
Yeah.
What you've actually done, you've missed out all the rubbish ones that would have cost you 50 quid.
Well, yeah. I mean, I started out with a £25 microphone, USB microphone that was awful.
Yeah.
When I listen back now to episode 1,
I'm going to have to go back and listen to it.
Yeah, we've got a Mixcloud. It is still the most listened to
really?
Episode of the whole station. I think we've got about 1,500 episodes of shows up on our Mixcloud.
Wow.
Mixcloud, but it's still the most listened to. Yeah, but it's cringeworthy. It really is. It really is. Thank you so much for your lovely comments, by the way.
Aren't they lovely?
Even the one about I just look like Mick, but with a wig on.
When I meet him, we'll stone him to death at Expo or something like that. I think that deserves it. I've never seen John Paul in real life, so you never know, do you? He might look like me with a wig on as well. What you've got to understand is these people have been popping up in our chats for a long, long time, and we generally give each other plenty of stick. So don't be offended by anything they say, because it won't be too rude. It'll only be a general, genuine sort of bit of a laugh, sarcastic laugh. The good people. Apart from John Paul.
For the link, Hanky Panky.
Yeah, he's a top man.
Is that John Paul?
No, that's Anki was doing that. He's his name's Steve, and his surname's Ankin. So he's a bit of a joker, and I've met him a couple of times now. But we have an expo once a year or twice a year, and I always go to it once a year. Spend 3 days getting drunk with them all. They're fantastic people.
Yeah, sounds
well, I'll tell you what they're like. I mean, I explained to you my daughter's not very well, and they raised thousands and thousands of pounds for her. They did.
Amazing.
The community all got together. They put companies. They got in touch with companies. Companies sponsored auctions and live streams and all sorts of things. They raised thousands and thousands of pounds. Fantastic people. Yeah, fantastic people. And, up till that point, you don't even realise they're like you, but they've never even heard of my daughter. And they've been so supportive, all of them. They're lovely, such lovely people. We had a party the other week and invited some of them to the party. My daughter's got a fairly big garden. We had a live band in the garden and a hog roast and stuff like that. And we invited people to the party. We had to get representatives of different things, because if we'd have invited absolutely everybody that helped her, we'd have needed the field behind the house and the field behind that, and I don't know how we would have managed to feed them all, because you'd never have done it.
Now Jack is one of my jokers. Jack Marriott is one of my regular listeners, and
is he?
Yeah, he's such a lovely.
Welcome, Jack.
I usually call him Golden Bollocks because he can do no wrong. Really, he really is top bloke. Thank you, Jack. He says our technical whiz jam has all the top gear, but no bloody idea. I think is I kind of follow my colleagues' line, and if they tell me that something's going to be good, I kind of like go, okay, what do I, But talking of which, I went to work today. I work at the university here in Plymouth, and I went to work today, and I've got a new bit of kit on one of my desks. I tend to work from different locations. I went to the desk today, and there was this incredible 34-inch curved monitor on my desk. And so I could literally, instead of having 3 monitors, which I would normally have on my desk, including my laptop plugged in, I could literally put, my inbox, my calendar, the Chrome browser. That's amazing. Yeah, I want one for home. I want one for home now for my radio stuff. It's so good. But anyway,
I was looking at. There was one that kept coming up on Amazon, and it was over £1,000 back in the day. That was the same sort of thing. It was about this sort of wide and then curved.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. I just sat kind of looking at it like in wonder. Took a photograph, scribbled out all the the important stuff because otherwise people would be going, Jam, what's that email about that you've got? And then shared it with my radio crew, and I went, oh my god, look at this! I need one for home. So yeah. Anyway, Charlie Jones is another of my.
Is he another one? Are these people from TikTok? Obviously.
Yes, yeah, and become great friends. That's the wonderful thing about this type of community, and I'm sure that you feel exactly the same. You just shared it with me. I've met some amazing people. I've yet to meet some others. I've yet to meet some of them, but those that I have met, have really had an impact on my life. Actually, quite significantly, I'd say.
Well, they do. I mean, I'd say first time I met Mo, we started doing this 2020, and then 2 months later the lockdown. So we were stuck in the house for 2 years, cancelled all the expos. And the first expo I went to was from the business side of things. Most of the stuff I hadn't got there because it was coming from China, but we were all just absolutely mad to meet each other. And it was just a 3-day party. It was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. And you went away from it thinking, like, when you've been to a good wedding, you're really sad that you want it to happen again. That's what it felt like. And I've been back again now. That must have been my third one this year. Was it? I can't remember, to be honest. I think it was my third one. It was definitely my third one. And it was just as good. They're just, they're just lovely, lovely people. And I say you just have a few beers with them and you sit there and chat. And obviously with that side of things, everything's interesting. And they're just amazing, amazing people. And they do change your life completely. I've got, obviously driving a cab, I've been doing it for 30 years. I've got quite a few people who were friends in real life. But I've been lucky to meet, even more people that I know now, a lot of them in real life. It's been good.
Yeah, I mean, I think the station, it's limited in its funds, obviously, because it's a community station, not for profit, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. But I think when we do events where our listeners and their team can actually get involved, it's very well received. They love it. So I think I was speaking to the station manager tonight, which is normal. We usually catch up on the phone once a week, and we were talking about potential events and how we could kind of do some PR stuff. So yeah.
Would you ever think of doing something like out? It's difficult to do it because it's like with these expo things that we could do. You sort of think, well, if that packs up, that'll be something that we won't go to anymore, so we won't meet each other anymore. But it's like you want somebody to have a massive hotel that's empty once a year, and then just go and everybody book all the rooms, and then just have a good laugh with that. So I don't know if you could go on the. I suppose it cost with a radio station. It costs too much to go on the road, wouldn't it? Really?
Well, a lot of our DJs or presenters are actually mobile DJs too. So a lot of them got all the kit, already.
Already got it then. Yeah.
Stuff that we're talking about tonight with Danny. I mean, Charlie, one of the listeners here tonight, watchers, she was at a recent event. They literally just did like a town carnival, and it was a lot of fun for those that got together, kind of thing. So to Danny tonight, if we could get a kind of an angle on that. There's a local PR company to Danny that turned down a lot of work because it's basically too small for them to entertain. But Danny's like, maybe I could kind of like, get the radio station in on this. So yeah.
That'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it will. And it'd give us opportunity to get some of our listeners together because they're always saying, come on, Jan, organise a do, as if I've got time. I already do 2 full-time jobs. That's how it feels. That's how it feels. I did radio last week. Thursday night, 3 hours. Friday night turned into about 5 hours. It was only 2 hours on the radio, but it went on until 4:30 in the morning. And then Saturday afternoon, 2 hours, and then Sunday I did 2 lots of 2 hours. So you can. I mean, I don't normally do that much because a lot of people are on leave, but it can turn into a full-time job if you're not careful.
Yeah, that's right.
All the social media stuff, and there's a lot of work to be done. But Charlie Jones, as she is here in the chat, she's one of our we call them Ngage brand ambassadors. and they are basically super listeners who do a lot of promotion for us over on social media. So they literally like do a lot of stuff. And Charlie's also involved in some of our social media, but there's kind of three of us doing the social media. A lot of work. It is a lot of work.
You need to know what you're doing with that as well. I'm not amazing on it. I can do a Facebook post, and usually by ridiculing myself, you can make it funny, especially if you know the people who you're sending it to.
Yeah.
But Steve, that's what Steve does. Steve's actually an influencer, social media influencer for different vape brands. Okay. And he's full on with it. The photoshopping, all the putting the things in the right places. His work is fantastic. He's a good lad.
I've learned so many skills doing this though. Because, I was always rubbish at Photoshop. I was like, what? What's all this layers stuff about? And finally, now that I've created the artwork and stuff, I have actually done all right. So is that Steve says, Jan, we have Net Reality in here, who was a DJ in a club in Liverpool back in the day.
1934. It's true. He's actually a goth. Really? So he never died. He's actually a goth. He still looks 57. He's actually a goth, and he was a DJ in. When you start talking to Graham, it's an amazing thing because he'll say, "I was talking to him one day, and we got on about the band This Mortal Coil." And he said, and I can't remember the name of the lady who was the lead singer. He said, oh, yeah, she used to come round to our club and perform. I said, what do you mean? Oh, she also had another gig doing something completely different rather than singing in the band. I think doing poetry or something like that. And you think, wow. We popped round such and such and we were playing darts with, I can't remember the names of them all now. It's brilliant. It's such an interesting thing. And they're just these people that he knows. But, like when you think about people being famous, you sort of look and they're like these sort of gods in that. But when you get down to it, they're just people, just like us, aren't they? They're just people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, but he knows lots and lots of them. It's a typical Liverpool thing, though, and everybody famous because they all went down the Cabin Club.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the accent, by the way. One of our presenters, he's Steve. He's a Liverpudlian, lovely. Yeah. Grateful, lovely for the radio too. Net Reality, hello. He's waved at us, so I'm waving back.
Liverpool in the 80s.
Jack says I do a pretty iconic after party. Well, I just get drunk and everybody watches me get silly. Really, I think that's so this particular last Friday when you popped in.
Yeah, when I popped in,
I think I was busy getting drunk on Sambuca.
Was it?
Which is just nuts because.
Yeah. Is it something you'd normally get drunk on, or did somebody come round to see you one day and leave a full bottle? Or
no, there's I do like a Sambuca. It's something I would choose to shot. If I'm going to shot anything, it would probably be a Sambuca. But it was actually a gift from one of my listeners, lovely Russell. Wow. Anyway, it got a bit messy, but I ended up with a decent hangover on Saturday morning.
I did actually notice because I was watching a bit later on. I popped off to do something, and I came back, and I did actually notice the eye going down. And you were chatting away, and I could see you thinking, "Where did that go?" And then the eye started going. So that was probably the point where you couldn't really remember. But I'm quite a famous drunk, to be honest myself. So this is normally called let's go live and have a beer. But I decided today that it'd be let's go live and have a cup of tea because. What I tend to do is get the strongest beer I can find and get a different one every week and then do a little bit of history about it and then drink it. Well, the only trouble is with some of it, and you get to 10% lager. But so you're 3/4 of the way through the hour and it does actually affect you. One can of it will actually affect you quite a lot. So
it's like drinking a whole bottle of wine.
Yeah. Well, I got Benny on, one of my friends in real life last week, and he was on with me. And I had 2 cans of Teskey, the Polish lager.
I did see a little part of that video.
By the time I got to the end, I was trying to remember what I was going to say, to be honest. That really did get to me. It's the same with that Italian one, Proni. I've only got to have one bottle of that, and it has the same effect as 9% one. It's not even that strong.
What's the other Italian one with the yellow label?
Moretti.
Yeah, I like the Moretti. like a Marathi. My listeners will tell you that I forget what I'm saying mid-sentence, drunk, sober, or anything, and quite often I get prompted, and that's the other lovely thing. We were talking earlier about the benefits of TikTok while I was doing radio. Because people kind of prompt you, or they tell you a funny story, or they comment on this track that you're just playing, and it's really nice. But I'm quite often prompted mid-sentence because I'll say something and I'll look at a comment and I'll put this funny face on, and they always say that my face gives away subtitles. What I don't actually say is actually written all over my face.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then somebody will remind me why they've just said that. Oh, okay. I get it. Yeah.
If you look in the chat, there's one there that says Golf BN. That's Bill. When we first started, it was me and Bill. We just started one day during the lockdown. We just started this YouTube show, and it's gone on from there. So it's been going on about 4 years, coming up to 5 years in January or December. And he said it's the 2 a.m. thing. I said, what's that? He says, 8 o'clock in the evening, you sat talking to somebody, all of a sudden it disappears. He says, all of a sudden you wake up at 2 a.m. and remember what you was going to say. It does it a lot, doesn't it? Trying to remember somebody's name until you get to bed, you think, I remember who that was.
Yeah, yeah. Or I'm even mid-sentence talking about something, a product, or I don't know, the name of an artist, and it just literally will not find its way out of my brain. It's just stuck,
Yeah, Bill, I was 12 when we started. He's 70 this year or next year.
70.
Bill is, yeah.
Good on you, Bill.
He's just shaved all his head off because he was jealous because older people are bald and he wasn't. It's true. It was a bit of a shock last week. I said, Bill, you haven't got your camera on because he came into Zoom. He says, no. He said, I'm doing a reveal. Anyway, clicked it, and there he is, bald as a coot. He had a full head of hair the time before when I saw him. He said, it's a lot easier, isn't it? So he just...
it'd be a lot easier for us women too, but it's not as acceptable, is it?
No more bed hair. When you get up in the morning and it's stuck up like that, I never get that.
Seriously. I'm one of these people that usually likes to shower and do my hair and everything before I go to bed. So that in the morning I literally have to just, wash and do the hair quickly. Yeah. But some mornings I wake up and I think that was not a good idea to go to bed with hair last night.
No, because it is everywhere, isn't it? Everywhere.
Yeah.
So what would you be, it's hard to say really, but because sometimes I'm answering my own question because anyway, what would be your favourite artist if you were going to listen to something? Would it just depend on what mood you're in, or would it just be one?
No, I literally have a song by my favourite artist that I've listened to, and I say that I listen to it every day, and I have done since 1981. And I think that they think that I'm not being serious, but I literally do. Luther Vandross is my ultimate, almost my favourite artist, and they pull my
What was the song? What's the song?
Well, the track is called Never Too Much. So
no, that would be mine.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be my favourite track, but I would, if I'm going to say Luther Vandross, that's what I would say.
Yeah, most people know that track. Yeah, so I think I've literally listened to it almost every day since 1981, since its release date.
Wow.
So there we go. So there is no doubt he is my favourite artist of all time.
Sadly no longer with us either, is he?
No, absolutely. Sadly not. But I nearly always squeeze a little Luther into a lot of my
I've noticed that
sets, and I get they rib me about it, because I just go, well, it's my show. I can do what I like. I'm not paid by you lot. I can do this.
That's right.
Free. I'm giving this to you for free.
So on internet radio, there's no playlist or anything like that. You can just literally play what you want.
You can play what you want, but you avoid swearies and things, obviously, because conditions of your license that you have to buy and pay for are, you should avoid them. So, and of course, we fall foul of it. Quite often, I'll be listening, and one of them's just playing something by Billie Eilish, where she's cursing, and they literally have selected the wrong version of the track. It's not intentional. And quite a lot, and I find it happened to me, I think, last week. I don't know if I was playing, can't remember what the track I was playing, but the poo word was said.
Right.
And I was like, did I really hear that? Because the track was not marked as explicit, so that's the trouble that you do get into. Time.
I know with the music, I use Epidemic Sounds for the intros and stuff like that, and they actually clearly mark it. It's you can take them out, take the explicit. You can just not select them.
No, absolutely.
Because it doesn't really matter to me. There's a lot of the casters who a lot of my friends will swear like a trooper, but it's just something I chose not to do.
No.
When I was doing reviews and things like that, because I thought, well, immediately you alienate half your audience, don't you? Because some people don't like strong language, and other people don't care if you do it. So if you don't do it, then it's done. If I was a manufacturer of something and I put all my hard work into it and I sent it to somebody in the Reffin and Jeffin, I'd probably think, nah, I probably won't send them anything else. So I just chose not to. But I say it's up to you. Most of the shows you listen to, that's what they do. And most of the people aren't offended by it. But
no,
just my particular choice. Obviously, you won't get away with it with what you're doing. But.
No, not on the radio. I did some audio stuff specifically for TikTok. Some audio book stuff recently, and we finished the book actually last night. And we did it over 7 nights, a couple of hours at a time or so. But it was full of expletives. So but I just pre-warned,
FML. I got to FML. Yeah. Because I was wondering what that was. Because the other day when you were doing something, and I just put in the chat, I put, what's this? Our tune? Because can you remember Simon Bates' Our Tune? I actually thought that's what you were doing, was Our Tune. And you obviously didn't really realise what I was meaning, because you gave me the name of the song that you was playing in the background. But I actually thought it was because it was working out pretty well, to be honest. If you, it might be worth getting one or two of your listeners to write in and do an Our Tune. I think that could be a feature of yours.
We've done it. We have done
You've
it.
You've already done it.
Yeah, we've done it. You just, you just don't get enough stories for it to become a consistent feature. Unfortunately, we kind of talk about having 14,000 listeners a month on our station, and if you actually break that down into daily stats and break that down into perhaps stats for each show, your numbers are pretty small. We're growing. We are growing, and some months are better than others. And we always find during the summer months, anyway, people have got far too many nice things to be doing. I mean, there are those diehards that are listening all the time. A lot of my lovely listeners are very kind in that they've, even if they're not properly listening, they've got the Alexa on in the background just to kind of keep the numbers bouncing. But we're about to get some new station software, actually, which will help us put our shows together better. And certainly for those of us that don't have any background in radio presentation, it'll certainly be incredible for me, because I'm really rubbish at remembering to run the jingles, and really rubbish. I'll kind of say, after the next track we'll do a feature, and then 3 tracks have gone by and one of my listeners has gone, feature? I go, we can do that one night. I've got a brain like a sieve, so I could do a production assistance.
In a fixed radio station, you'd have a producer there to remind you that you've just forgot something, and you'd have runners and stuff like that when you were.
Yeah. Well, Jack and Charlie, who are both listening, and others I'm sure that might be listening but are not commenting, are those people for me. I regularly get WhatsApp, or one of them will say, check your WhatsApp, and I go to my WhatsApp and I'll say, you haven't given the answer out to that thing that you did like half an hour ago, or whatever.
I was listening to my stuff back because I'm a bit of a narcissist and I like the sound of my own voice. So, and sometimes I'll be looking through and I think, well, somebody asked you something there and you ignored them, and then you asked somebody something and then they gave you the answer, and then you ignored them again. But when it's coming through, especially on the other channel that we had, it would be fairly rapid going through. Now you get a chance to listen to read down probably half an hour's worth of thing, but on the other one, it would be round and round and round, especially if you got a big guest on. So you don't actually see everything, but I've done ones where I'll be looking down and actually doing something with the camera pointing down, and you don't see the chat at all, and it's been a bit. It's but I say you always try and speak to absolutely everybody, don't you? But
we try to, and I mean, we one of our strap lines basically is that we're the most interactive station, and I think that TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, and X, although it's probably not the most popular choice. Even Discord. We try and kind of interact with all of our listeners on whatever platform they choose to actually interact with us on. I think the only one we don't have is Snapchat for obvious reasons, but. We try and maintain that stance about we try and maintain that stance about being the most interactive, and I think that TikTok brings us that. What TikTok unfortunately does do is potentially draw your listening numbers away, but the listening numbers aren't important to us at this stage of the career of the station, because we are a hobby station. We are a community kind of like base station. We're a not-for-profit, etc., etc. But if we were actually trying to turn this into a business, potentially those numbers could be. But TikTok, as I mentioned to you earlier, they don't care much for me. So if I'm lucky to get 20 people, I'm lucky if I get 20 people watching my show on TikTok. But it's enough for me to be able to get content to talk silly stories about, or regale other people's experiences, which is quite I
mean, it's quite easy if you're like, this is really easy because we're having a conversation, but if you're doing it on your own to actually try and fill an hour full of different things. I mean, I've done live streams where we haven't had many people in the chat, or they might be busy doing something else, got it on in the background, you might have 20 in there and nobody wants to talk to you, and that is a bit of a job. It does take some doing. To actually keep going through, that full hour. But you sort of learn to do it. I'd be like, I start looking around at things and I'll pick some up and then start, these, you start going on about that. And it's surprising that you can still, and then somebody will be interested in one of the things that you pick up to talk about, and then boom, off you go.
Yeah. Well, some of my listeners are very kind, you see. They'll think, oh, Jan's struggling here.
Yeah.
We need to kind of we need to interact, and we need to kind of support this link that she's trying to carefully, so and that's the wonderful thing about it. It's become a community. It is a real family kind of station. That's how it feels. So it's quite nice. Yeah. We've got a lovely bunch of people around us.
You've got one new subscriber there, look. John Paul Glasgow. I'm sure you will get a lot more through doing this, Jan. I, for one, will tune in.
Oh, bless you, John Paul. I must tell you all that we've got our own app, which is free to download and free to listen to. It's on both app stores. So it really is the easiest way to listen in, because we're only a internet-based radio station. You can't get us on FM, and you can't get us on DAB, because DAB is something ridiculous, like £5,000 a month or something.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's crazy numbers.
It doesn't even work very well around here, to be fair.
No, exactly. Who actually listens to it anyway? Because I don't. I get in my car, I Bluetooth my car to whatever music platform that I've got, and literally launch that if I'm not listening to Ngage Radio. So that's what I tend to do. I tend to kind of run the app on my phone and Bluetooth it in the car, and there we are. We're away. But thank you, John Paul. I appreciate you. Thursday evening, 8:00, Ngage Radio. You can get us on your Alexa by enabling the skill for Ngage Radio UK. It is a bit tricky. We're working on trying to make it easier. For some reason, doesn't like us from time to time, so it can be a little bit flaky. But once you've mastered the skill, as it were, it works quite well. Yeah.
Yeah, because I never even think about that. I never think about listening. Alexa's just something that starts flashing in the morning. My wife shouts at it, "What's the notification?" And it's, "Oh, you bought a packet of peanuts 14 months ago. Would you recommend them?" She goes, "Oh, number 5, definitely." And you think, God, if that's what Amazon reviews are made up of, they're not good, are they, really? Did you like it? Yeah. Oh, good. That's a 5 then.
That'll do. Yeah. Did I hear a rumor actually that TikTok Shop and Amazon are going to partner from next year?
Nice.
And that apparently, if you purchase anything from wherever you purchase that product from TikTok Shop, that Amazon will be handling the distribution of it. So I mean, that's real, isn't it?
Oh, that's real.
A real partnership and a half.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah. People go on about oh, the council needs to get the finger out. Look at the state of the marketplace. There's no shops in there. They need to do this.
Yeah.
It's not the council's fault. It's Jeff Bezos, isn't it?
Absolutely.
They invented the most amazing way for all us people to buy things,
Absolutely.
and it's instant.
Yeah, and their service is incredible.
100% returned.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you were the same as me, but during lockdown, almost every day there was an Amazon delivery.
Was it? Yeah, it was.
Nothing else to spend their money on,
Yeah.
but nonsense on Amazon.
Well, to be fair, like I didn't have a lot because self-employed. I wasn't doing too well during the lockdown. I had a month off for a start, and it's the first time I've ever spent 4 weeks in my own house. The first 2 weeks were amazing. They're like the best foreign holiday I've ever had. And the shine started to wear off it by the end of the third week, and by the end of the fourth week, I thought, I'm not sitting here anymore. I'm going back to work. So I went back to work, and literally it was just to get out of the house. I'd spend 5 hours a day and do 3 jobs. That was it. £4, £5. But it got me going again. To be honest, first few days, you're sort of thinking, I'm sat here and I could get that and I could die. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you wouldn't better say that on TikTok. You'd have got put.
Community standards.
And I got ended. So you sat there thinking, oh God, I could die. And then when you get over that, you're like, pff. And then all the other ones, they came back to work when they said they could all come back to work. And they're all like, oh yeah, we've got screens in the car. And you think, oh, don't bother with any of that. Just get on with it. I actually got COVID a year after. It was like, I got it in 2021. That's when I got it the first time.
Yeah. I had it twice, 2020, but I think it took about 4 or 5 months to kind of reach me, and then again in 2021. But the 2021 version hit me much harder than the early one. So there we go.
The 2021 really that got me. It did me. I've got somebody put it, and I think they put it in a good perspective. Really, what they said was, what you've already got wrong with you, that's what it will attack.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of sore muscles and stuff like that, and my fingers felt like they were going to fall off. I tended to walk around holding my hands because they hurt that much, and it was all my fingers and like flu aches. Those flu aches that you get, but it was like toothache.
Yeah.
And then you got other people that had other illness, underlying illness, and it seemed to attack them.
Yeah. For me, it was tiredness. It literally, I was, and I always suffer from lack of sleep. It's just one of those kind of, things in life that happen. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, I was tired because I'd be sat in the front room and I'd just start with, I'd have my tea and then feel like absolute death as soon as I'd finished eating it. Yeah. And then I'd have literally 10 minutes sleep. And then I was fantastic again.
John, don't work nowadays through health. Just spend all day watching or listening to shows, spending money on Amazon.
There you go.
John Paul, I would be doing exactly the same, except that I do work. I'm fortunate enough that that I kind of partially work from home these days, and that's all come about because of COVID. We all got sent home at the university, and I remember the day that so long story short, my sister had COVID like very early on. She was one of the first people diagnosed in Plymouth with it, and she was very poorly, and she was in hospital, and she was on life support, etc., etc. And it was quite sad at the time, but she pulled through. She did well. However, because my sister had been diagnosed with it, and I had literally seen her like 48 hours before and hugged her in hospital, because at that time we didn't know that was what was wrong with her. Yeah. I was in isolation at home, and thought, this is great. I could do this for for a couple more weeks. This is lovely. And I literally just had my laptop at home because I would carry it around in my backpack. And my boss said to me, look, the university's going to shut down for a couple of weeks, and we're all told to bring our kit home. And I said, well, that's all right. I've got my laptop. Don't worry. I don't need anything more. I can cope. She said, no, Jan, I don't think you realise. You'll need your monitors. You'll need your chair. I was like, oh God, what a ball ache. 2 years. We literally were at home for almost 2 years. Yes. Wow. And then even after that 2 years ended, we were given permission to switch to a kind of like a hybrid contract, so that now we're 50-50. We work 50% at home, 50% in the office. So it works nicely. Yeah.
I bet that sometimes, you get up and you think, oh no, I've got to go to work this week. And then you probably, I think that was one thing. You felt so isolated when you was at home.
Yeah.
At some point. I remember the first month, first 2 weeks, first 2 or 3 weeks, I wasn't bothered at all. I was quite enjoying it. And then after that, and then my wife was working nights in the supermarket, so she was like, she had to go to work, so she never had a shift off.
No.
Apart from when she actually got COVID. But and they locked down again after Christmas, didn't they? For about 3 months, and I was sat here about end of February, and I thought, this is just depressing now. And every time, I don't watch news ever now, because for that reason, because they never tell you anything that's going to make you happy. It's always something that's bad, and the last thing you need when you're stuck at home is that, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, definitely. It could be really isolating. I was living alone for most of lockdown, and literally my little bubble was my kind of closest neighbours. That was it, but I am one of these people that love my own company, and quite happy to be kind of like in isolation, and I actually, because I think of the experience, I now look for quiet space and time. And some days I go to work. I've been to the office today, which is unusual on Monday usually a work from home day. I've been into the office today, could not wait to get home. I was like, I use the expression, I'm all people don't. I want to speak to another person. I want to see another person today.
I think that's true, yeah.
But here I am.
Yeah, I think that is also true. Isn't it? Obviously, in my job, I've got to meet people every day, because otherwise I'm not going to make much money, ever.
Absolutely.
It's just one of them. But it is. I think I don't want to get a thing that when you get older, it's like I can't stand a lot of noise when I'm eating. I'd rather sit in the kitchen on my own or with my wife than go to a restaurant, because it would drive me nuts when everybody's making a noise when you're trying to eat. I don't know whether that was a lockdown thing or whether it's an old man thing. I don't know, really.
Possibly. I do this funny thing when I sit down to eat. I take my glasses off. I normally wear glasses or contact lenses, but I literally sit down, and before I pick up my knife and fork, I take my glasses off.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
I do it. I spend most of the time with my glasses on the top of my head, but they're only readers. But I couldn't sit there with my glasses on and eat. And the same with my sunglasses. If I had my sunglasses on, I'd put them on top of my head while I was eating. I don't know what it is. Whether it's that as you're moving your cheeks about and they keep moving up and it gets on your nerves, I don't know. Surprising what we do, isn't it?
I know, bonkers. Absolutely.
Yeah. So one thing I was thinking about, just to change the subject, was you wouldn't get on very well on YouTube, would you, doing a radio show? Because I would have thought all that would be copyrighted material, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Because that's our biggest thing. If you're doing a live stream outside and you're walking past a pub and they're blurting something out, it can cause you trouble.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, it does. They don't like you. Yeah. I don't know how it works out, to be honest, because you hear some people using.
Because we have a PRS license, though, so we have a license to be able to, broadcast music.
Yeah.
I wonder whether that YouTube accept that. Would actually accept that. I don't know. I don't know how it would work, but
no.
Yeah.
Because, the thing is, you've got plenty of subscribers on TikTok anyway, haven't you? But I never got on very, very well with it. Anything I tried to do I don't think I'm hip enough.
No.
You know what I mean? TikTok, a lot of it is short form video, real quick, real loud, bouncing into it. That's what seems to get all the views. Whereas the stuff I do is sort of quiet for all, for older people. Here, look at this. I'll show you this with the downward camera and explain to you how it works and stuff like that. Whereas I bet people on TikTok think, "Oh God, who's this?"
I've never managed to actually hit the algorithm yet. I've no idea how these people get so successful. No idea. But I do know that, my lives are very, very. I've got a very, not very wide audience, because I'm not one of these people that kind of encourages lots of earnings to come to TikTok. So because of that, basically, I'm not really of any interest to them. So
no,
but it is
one thing I did find out is this actual channel that we're broadcasting on tonight was my original YouTube channel that I used to log into YouTube. It was just that from my email address. I've changed the name on it millions of times, 10 times probably, and it's about 13, 14 years old. And I've added the odd thing on it every now and again. And then with the little bit of a downturn with the e-cigarette stuff, I thought, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go and make a go of it on there. and then I'm going to be able to, because with YouTube, if you try and, so if you're reviewing brandy, and you'd always done brandy reviews, so all your subscribers come to you to watch brandy reviews. So you get a bottle of whiskey one day, half the people don't watch.
Yeah.
So YouTube stops recommending your content, and before you know it, you're losing subscribers and you're not doing any good whatsoever. So it's very, very difficult to turn from reviewing that to reviewing the stuff that I'm doing now. So I decided I'd just use this channel. And then I found a YouTube promote thing, and then within 3 weeks, it's got another 2,000 subscribers.
Oh, wow.
You know, whether it was a good thing, that was actually the proper way through YouTube, not actually buying subscribers. They promote you out to different countries. You don't seem to, they're a quiet bunch though. They don't turn up. These are the people that are in the chat tonight, apart from the ones that's come across with you. I've met half of them and I know all of them, if you know what I mean. So they don't seem to, it seems to be, if you're a reviewer of things, they want to watch your reviews of things, but they're not bothered about watching you go live.
No.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
There's a comedian. He's the guy, I can't remember his name now, but he tried it on YouTube, but he's the one that pulls up next to people in the car and tells them to wind the window down and says something really nice to them. And then I can't remember, he's an American guy.
Okay.
It's usually a bit of a dad joke and they all laugh and have some, you know. And I watched him and he's got like, I can't remember how many, 500,000 subscribers. If he goes live, he gets 4 or 5. None of them want to watch him when he's doing that. But he's just moved it. He's on TikTok now, so if you see him coming up. But he's really funny. I don't know if you've ever seen him. I can't remember his name.
Hanky Panky, we're all getting paid to tune in tonight. Well, I appreciate you being here. Yeah, where do I need to send the check? I'm going
to get a bill. Yeah, they'll send a bill. That's what they do. Especially him. They're always after it. It's all about spreading the love. It's exactly right. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I like to watch people doing lives.
I used to, so before I did the radio, I probably did slightly better on numbers. You know, I think I've had as many as maybe about 100 people in or
Have
something.
You really?
Like but because I can't interact with everyone, because of the way that the audio is set up, and I think that may change with this new software that we're getting, but because of the way that the audio is set up, when the track is on, I can't talk because otherwise that will be broadcast. I think with the new software, we'll be able to change that. But people they're so impatient. I mean, my guys that are perhaps listening in tonight will qualify. People come in, they go, "Hi, Jan," and I kind of like wave because I'm kind of playing a song or what have you, and then I do a link, and if I've not remembered to say their name, they're off, they're gone. Yeah. They've got such a kind of like, they're so fickle. We have listeners that come in and say, "Can I make a request?" And I nearly always try and kind of like play requests. And I usually put my finger up like that, and then I'll say it again, "Can I make a request?"
Yeah.
And then one of the moderators will say, "Yep, send your text in," or whatever it is. And then if I don't play it after about 3 other songs, because requests are coming at me from the dashboard of text messages and emails and what have you, and if I don't play it, you're like, "Where's my song? Did you get my song? Did you get my request? Did you get my request? Did you get my request?"
It's a bit like the cab business. You start off and your phone's not ringing. You think, "I'm never going to make a living at this," and then your phone starts to ring a bit, and you think, "Oh, I'm doing all right now," and then you get really good at it, and then it rings too much. You think, "God, I wish it'd stop ringing."
Jack's agreed with me. He says a few names come to mind.
Yeah,
you do, but and sometimes I just want to play their request so they stop. Because they're not staying. They're literally not going to stay for the whole of the show. They're literally just there for that. I don't know, whatever it is. Oh, look, I got my song played.
One thing I think though, and I don't think I'm wrong. Correct me if I am, but one thing that I think is when people come in our chat on here, the people, I know a few of them, I know quite a few of them, but you don't know. Some of these people that come in here might live on their own. They might have a disability. They might never ever go out. And you might be the only interaction, human interaction they're going to get that day.
Yeah.
And it could change people's lives. You don't know. They might have got up that morning thinking, "Well, this is it. I'm going to pack it all in today." Yeah. And he went, "Hello, how are you doing?" And you go, "Shit, somebody cares about me."
Yeah.
And it's a weird feeling when somebody says something nice to you.
Yeah, we've seen some really, really strong stories. Some really incredible feedback from some of our listeners that just to be able to switch on and hear a voice that they recognize, a voice that they kind of will resonate with, or I'll share a story and somebody will go, I really love what you did last night, Jan. It really meant a lot because this happened to me or that happened to me. We get some incredible feedback. Fabulous. Yeah.
That's Cheech. Good evening, Cheech. He works for an employment agency. He's always trying to get Victor a job. It's an old joke. Victor's a big reviewer on the e-cigarette scene. It's been a bit of a laugh that for years, and he always pops in and says hello. But he used to get banned by everybody, but we've always just left him in here just to say what he wants because everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Cheryl said she only leaves her house for one time a week. Do you know, Cheryl, I think if I sometimes, and this is just me and my personality, if I had the choice, sometimes I wouldn't go out either. It's just kind of I have to go out because I have to go to the office. But sometimes I bail because I just don't want to be with people.
Really?
Yeah. And yet I'd be quite happy to do 2 hours of radio and interact with people and do that radio.
I do.
But I don't want to go out. I don't want to do the pole pop thing with a bunch of people tonight. No, that's asking too much of me. So I can really relate to that, Cheryl. Yeah,
we're the same, to be honest. I can't remember last time I went to the pub. Without having a meal, I can't really. It's just something we stopped doing.
Yeah,
I think you get to a certain age.
I've had an invite for this Sunday because it's the bank holiday, isn't it, this weekend? And I'm like, oh, really?
Week after, I must have been done.
But it'd be really nice to see you.
Yeah. So, are you going to go? Are you going to stay at home and talk to people on the internet?
I might just stay home and kind of do the whole, it's Sunday of the bank holiday. I don't know. I haven't decided, to be perfectly honest. I should probably make up my mind and then change it a million times before that happens. Yeah.
Just go, promise an hour, and then so I've just come for an hour, and then that gives you the get out of jail free card, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then sometimes it turns into the best afternoon ever, doesn't it? You end up staying. Yeah. Yes, indeed.
My mouth is too mean for people. Anyway, I think I've kept you long enough. You've been here an hour.
Well, there we go.
That just disappears, doesn't it? The time when you get into a conversation, you can just sit there forever and ever and ever, and it just, it's amazing how the hour disappears. Thanks ever so much for coming in.
You're welcome. I've enjoyed it.
Come back anytime.
Yeah, I'll come back again. She'll be broadcasting. Oh, Jack's saying I'll be broadcasting. I won't be at the pub. I'll be on the radio this weekend. That's what I choose to do anyway. Yeah.
Well, that's it, isn't it? I mean, I've got to be honest. Some days shall I go drive a cab or shall I do a video? Well, I actually get paid for driving a cab. I don't get paid for making a video.
No, exactly.
So sadly, that's what I've got to do is go and drive a cab.
Yes, indeed. Thanks so much, guys, for your support. And I'd love it if you come listen to my Love Lounge on Thursday evening at 8 p.m.
Thursday evening, 8 p.m. And make sure you ask for a request, and then keep set every 20 seconds. You've got to remind her because you haven't played it.
Yeah.
Don't do that because she'll delete you.
Thank you. Thanks so much for your for everyone's support.
There'll be one or two of them that'll pop in the Zoom room in a minute when we've gone. You'll be able to say hello if you want to. If you don't want to, it's up to you.
No,
they won't touch you.
I'm happy to stick around. Yeah, absolutely. Right.
Thanks a lot, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure. Good night.
Good night.